So it looks like Pete Hegseth is worried that you're going to speak out on what he is up to and planning. And that's about today's video, as this is a new report from the Washington Post. It says, Pentagon plans widespread, random polygraphs NDAs to stanch leaks. I want to go through the details of this one because, this is a time when they just had that big meeting with all the generals and admirals. They all had to fly in from all around the world to listen to Hegseth and Trump just rant. You guys heard this stuff. So now we're doing polygraphs, I guess, to everyone. The Pentagon plans to impose strict non-disclosure agreements. Okay, so you got to do that. And random polygraph testing for scores of people in its headquarters, including many top officials, according to two people familiar with the proposal, and documents obtained by the Washington Post, escalating Defense Secretary Hegseth's war on leakers and internal dissent. And they mentioned different classifications of people. So you have all military service members, civilian employees, and contract workers within the Office of the Defense Secretary and the Joint Staff. So that's estimated to be more than 5,000 personnel. So that's a lot of people that they're going to do. And a lot of the stuff that Hegseth does is he just wants to sort of show everyone, hey, I'm the one in control, number one, me, right? Exactly. And I'll just say this. I think a lot of people will be giving Hegseth the number one, if you know what I mean. So it says here, also 5,000 personnel would be required to sign a non-disclosure agreement that, quote, prohibits the release of non-public information without approval or through a defined process. That's from a draft memo from Deputy Defense Secretary Steve Feinberg. And they tried to get reporters to do this. That was like a week or so ago already. Basically, if you don't do a Hegseth approved story on what the military is up to, they'll go after you. And this flies counter to why we want whistleblowers if they're doing things that they shouldn't be doing, breaking the Constitution, etc. Like you do want people to speak out on this stuff. The same way if they're illegally, blowing up ships or boats, I should say, etc., or trying to start wars, we should know about these. That's why they, you have the system in place to where people then will have outlets to, tell everyone what they're doing. And so that effectively Trump and Hegseth are up to no good if they're mostly concerned about leaks. Also says here, a separate document also from Feinberg would establish a program to randomly polygraph those officials. The documents do not prescribe a limit on who would be subjected to these agreements and tests, suggesting it could include everyone from 4-star generals to administrative assistants. And Hegseth did this stuff before and pissed off a lot of people. There was a lot of internal, disagreements and such against Hegseth. There's a lot of things he does that people don't like, but this was wildly unpopular in the Pentagon, as I'm sure you can imagine. The efforts are part of a wider strategy by the Trump administration and the Pentagon to ferret out officials deemed insufficiently loyal or provide information to reporters. So that's key. The way Trump and Hegseth run their TV show effectively is, hey, don't leak the script of what we're trying to do. Don't leak the plans, right? And so they're all about loyalty there. And again, and the Pentagon says did not return a request for comment, so no comment from them. But this is the loyalty test is something that Trump administration has been doing since even before they went into office. It's all about loyalty to them. Again, it's mafia essentially. And the thing I always tell you guys is be loyal to the American people and the Constitution. This isn't all about serving Trump. Because Trump, when they get people in their administration, they want you to be loyal to Trump first. Constitution may be kind of essentially what it ends up being. Now let's see what else is here. Former officials and national security lawyers pointed to already existing restrictions and penalties for unauthorized release of information, indicating these new measures were meant to further frighten and deter personnel. Okay, yeah. So they're saying we already have, rules and regulations in place. So why, yeah, more? But Hegseth, they're trying to, I think they're trying to just figure out a way to push more people out, essentially. And something that Trump and Hegseth both dislike are people, this is who they dislike. They dislike people of good moral standing, who have ethics, who have experience. They just want to replace as many people as they can. This seems to be, quote, this seems to be far more directed at ensuring loyalty to DOD, right, Department of Defense, and the Trump administration leadership rather than countering any foreign espionage. And this is coming from Mark Zaid, a lawyer who represented multiple whistleblowers and government officials targeted by the Trump administration. Here's another quote. There are reasons why individuals were not required to take polygraphs before, and I would question why now the polygraph and an overbroad NDA is being required other than to intimidate the workforce and ensure tighter control. And something that both Hegseth and Trump have repeatedly done over and over again is basically just put more pressure on workers and people trying to serve. This is not a good development. Just be frank. I'm just being frank with you guys. This is not a good development. You kind of could see this stuff coming, but just still when you hear about it, it's not good. The Pentagon rankled the White House earlier this year after it begun using polygraphs to search for people leaking information to the news media. A political appointee and Hegseth advisor, Patrick Weaver, complained to the White House officials this spring with concerns that the members of his team could soon be ordered to submit a polygraph test. The White House intervened to temporarily end the practice. So there's certainly people, right, that are going to push back against this one. This time, though, I think because of sort of the overriding culture right now where Trump wants to fire as many people as possible, Hegseth is, wants to rename from defense to Department of War, and frankly, kind of going crazy. I mean, anyone who watched that whole speech that they gave, speeches, both Hegseth and Trump, you can see that they're insane. These people. They're incompetent, they're insane, they're unethical. This all creates a really negative environment. And I mean, I'm just being frank with you guys. We need to replace these people as quickly as possible to get people that, essentially can have leadership and, lead people without having to sort of force people to bend the knee, basically is what they're doing, right? Like lead by example, lead by having good moral character. Again, not what Hegseth and Trump are doing. It's the way to think about this thing is showing up to work, say, drunk every day, that kind of thing, and then getting mad why people don't follow you. I think that's just how I read it. Like that's the kind of people that they are. That's Trump and Hegseth. The Pentagon's proposed NDA prohibits personnel from providing any information that is not public, quote, without approval or through the defined process, which aligns with language the Department of Defense is currently requiring reporters to sign to maintain their Pentagon press credentials. And the first thing is when I read this, they're using the same language. I wouldn't be shocked. I wonder if like Trump and Hegseth are using Chat GPT to write their NDAs, etc. In this, considering that Trump does these weird letters to other countries, right? It just makes you wonder if that's what they're doing. I'm sure it is, because they don't have enough competent staff there to, effectively do things, let alone people who would want to go along with what they're up to. What else to say? It is one of many policies being rolled out by Hegseth, including, quote, new limits on the military's independent service inspectors generals and equal opportunity offices that may ultimately reduce the number of avenues service members or defense personnel have to point out potential problems in the Pentagon without going through their chain of command. Okay, so the reason why you want independent investigations and independent channels to, whistleblow is essentially, for example, let's say your direct superior, right, your XO or whatever, is doing something wrong. Any number of things, right? Harassing you, doing something illegal, right? Any number of things. So if you say, make the system to where I have to report my, person that's abusing me to the person that's abusing me, right? Or person that's harassing me or whatever. And that's just a harassment thing. We could talk about let's just say my boss is doing something illegal And then if you make it so I have to report to my boss that my boss will do something illegal, I mean, obviously, then that's why you'd want a separate system to where you can report whistleblow, essentially. Hegseth wants to get rid of that kind of thing, basically. They want you to force you to talk to your superior, which is, you know, the person right above you. So that's why you have to figure out a way to have an independent body that you can go to. And I saw that reported before. And then, you know, essentially what they're trying to do is all sorts of illegal, unethical, unconstitutional stuff and get it passed through and then put a system in place to where people won't tell others what they're up to. That's how I see that. Here's a quote here. I guess it'd be from one of Hegseth's people, Feinberg. Quote, "The protection of sensitive information is paramount to our national security, the safety of our war fighters, and the preservation of critical decision space for our senior leaders." So that's from the memo Feinberg wrote in the NDA policy memo. "Failure to comply," he said, "could result in punishment through the military's justice system for service members who do not sign it." So they really want you to sign this thing. "Federal law makes it a crime for personnel to disclose classified information to unauthorized individuals. Federal regulations further bar personnel from disclosing sensitive but unclassified information, which can result in administrative or criminal punishment." The unsigned and undated document is still in the deliberation stage, so they're still working on what they're going to do. But so far, many of the leaks that have been coming out of the Pentagon have all been accurate. Like we knew that General and Admiral meeting thing was being planned, and then we saw it happen, right? So same way with this stuff also, most likely pretty accurate. So said of one officials who, like others, on the condition of anonymity due to the sensitive nature of the documents. Another document outlines the establishment of a quote random polygraph program. Lie detector tests every few years are standard procedure in intelligence community as a requirement to retain security clearance, and the FBI has begun using them to identify the source of information leaks to the media. But the use of random polygraphs at the Pentagon would be new, according to Feinberg directive and former senior officials. Staff in the Office of Secretary of Defense and the Joint Staff who have access to classified information are currently not required to submit to random polygraph testing. Under the proposed policy, those staff would now face randomized polygraph testing and regular security evaluation interviews. And I promise you some of the stuff will not be random. I'm sure they'll pick out people that they don't like. Here's a quote here. There may be some goodness in doing this," said a former senior defense official who held a clearance and who, like several others interviewed, spoke on condition of anonymity because of the matters of sensitivity. But the former official said it is apparent that, quote, "the real concern is not about foreign intelligence. It's about tamping down people who they think are leaking to the press. These are pucker factor scare tactics. The overriding theme here is to try and cause as much fear in the workplace as possible." So that's what's going on. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Again, it looks like Trump and Hegseth are mostly worried about people telling others all of the things that they're up to. And the government shutdown just started today. And we know, again, that Trump and Hegseth want to push out as many people as possible. This would be both in civilian and military. I wish I had better news for you guys, but I do want to keep you updated on what's going on, good or bad, just to tell you the truth. And that's my thoughts on this, and I want to hear yours. And I'll catch you on the next video.